There wasn't a lot of time to prepare for this trip because of work. We have a staffing shortage just like many other places. This means long hours and extra work days to ensure all shifts are covered. It also means working many consecutive days to get 4 days off in a row. I was able to find time in between emergency calls to organize my gear and clean the Jeep before heading to Big Bear Lake. A lot of people ask why I clean my Jeep so extensively before taking it out to get dirty. I feel as if there's a certain amount of scratch protection from tree branches and dirt with a freshly waxed vehicle. But mostly, I just like the way it looks. My military service reinforced the notion to take pride in myself and my equipment. It's February 14th, 2022, and we're making our way towards the San Bernardino Mountains. It's going to be an exhausting 265-mile drive from home because my wife and I just got off of a 12-hour night shift. Just 2 hours from Los Angeles, the San Bernardino Mountains offer a cool, pine-scented escape. At an altitude of 6,759 feet, Big Bear Lake is a hub for alpine recreation. It's known for its ski resorts in the winter and its 7-mile lake in the summer. It's cold in the mountains this time of year, and snow is expected during our stay. Because of this, my wife found a historic 1938 Maltby cabin on Air B&B for us to stay in. If you aren't familiar with the Big Bear area, you probably wouldn't recognize the term Maltby. This is because it's named after Gus Maltby, a local builder in the area during the 1920s, 30s, and 40s. The main features that distinguish this type of construction are the exterior half-log siding, custom cast iron light fixtures, and local rock used to build the fireplaces and large porches. He owned a local lumber company and milled all of the log siding for his cabins there. The cabin features all of the conveniences of home, including a full kitchen, dining room, fireplace, and hot tub. It has enough sleeping accommodations for 8 people between the upstairs and downstairs bedrooms, as well as the loft. The owner of the cabin named it Endless Spirit. She grew up in the cabin, but her parents sold it when she was still young. She stumbled across the cabin in 2015 when it was being auctioned. She was able to buy it back and return it to the family. The home does have a warming, endless spirit, and we enjoyed our stay in this 1938 Maltby cabin. I'll put a link in the description so you too can enjoy the same experience while visiting the Big Bear area. One of the first activities we chose was a brisk, refreshing hike on the Woodland Trail, which is located near the Big Bear Discovery Center. This unique nature trail is 1.5 miles long with 16 numbered posts. There weren't any interpretive guides at the trailhead, which was fine because we were trying to beat an approaching winter storm. The trail is considered to be easy and mostly flat, with some short ups and downs, which will take about 45 minutes to complete. After the hike, we drove into Big Bear Village for dinner at the Oakside Steak Restaurant. The winter storm finally arrived and started dumping snow on the ground during our drive back to the cabin. My check engine light came on, but there weren't any repair shops open at that hour to get it diagnosed. We made it back to the cabin without any difficulty, and the Jeep appeared to be running fine. I couldn't do anything about it then, so I tried to relax by soaking in the hot tub and sitting by the fire. I was up early the next morning in hopes that the check engine light just didn't like the cold and was no longer on. I had no such luck. However, I was lucky enough to stumble across a very reputable Jeep repair shop our first day in town. We were looking for local trail maps and information on some off-road trails. We stopped at a local sports shop and they told us about a Jeep place a few blocks away. The shop is named All J Products and is located in Big Bear Lake. They are very knowledgeable about every model of Jeep and specialize in repairs as well as fabrications. I was sitting in front of their shop before they even opened, and they took me in right away and bumped me to the front of the line for the repairs that day.
Thermostat rationality.
What does that mean?
What's a thermostat rationality?
Okay, it's not within parameters of the what the computer wants. So it's usually we know what that one is.
Yeah, you want to check it?
I'm gonna check it.
Yeah.
What is it?
Well, the thermostat housing has a little screw on the top of it, and sometimes that starts leaking, and then it won't get up to temperature, and then the computer will send a message saying that the Jeep hasn't reached engine temperature in a certain amount of time. It can also do that when it's super cold like this. But
It's not leaking, Quinn. So
no,
I would say more than likely it's just because it was cold, like he was saying.
how about his oil filter housing? That's not leaking, is it? That would be the only other hidden spot that we...
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Yes, sir.
Coolant down there?
I just see oil.
Oh, shit.
You can't really see the coolant because the coolant's in the very back.
Okay.
And it'd drip off, it'd evaporate before it pulls up. But he's got oil down here in the housing unit, so eventually that's going to need to be replaced.
For the oil filters. So I wonder if that's from a messy oil change or if it's actually leaking.
No, it's leaking. I can see it all the way around it.
Okay.
Cool. Would that set off the thermostat then?
That could.
That could, because it's got a pressure switch in the back of that housing.
Yeah, if that thing's leaking, that can also cause that.
Because it cools it off with the water, so it's got two sensors, one for the thermostat, or one for the coolant and one for the oil.
So what do I have leaking?
Oil filter housing unit. It's where your oil filter's located, and it sits on top under the intake.
That sounds expensive.
Well, so all this has to come off on the top to get to this right here, where your oil filter's at.
That's just the front of the oil filter housing where your filter goes?
This is just the part of it. This is
and
where
it
your
goes
oil filter
all the
goes.
way to the back of the engine in the
Goes
valley.
all the way underneath this plenum, and it comes up, and it's held on with 4 or 5 screws. Then it comes up, and it's got 2 sensors in the back. One for water coming in off of this pipe right here, goes to the back of it to keep things cool, and then the oil pressure comes through there too.
Is that something that would be covered under an extended warranty?
Yes,
should be, yes.
It should be, yes. Okay, then yeah, that should be no problem. We should be able to take care of that under your extended warranty.
Can you do it today?
Yes, probably we can make that happen. That's a rough one because we're so far behind, but I mean, you can't be driving around like that, so technically it really does need to be repaired.
All right.
So
She has 2 of them up there.
I just got to make sure we have the right part in
This
stock.
is a 16, so.
It's a 16?
Yeah.
Let me go check if we got the right part.
This is your oil filter housing right here. So that's the part we were looking at.
Right.
This bolts down under the intake. Water comes in here to cool the oil and everything. Here's your oil pressure sender, and here's your coolant sender.
And usually where this leaks is these little O-ring connections on the bottom.
Right here.
Those are where they start leaking into the valley of the engine. Most people notice it when the oil fills up to the point where it runs off the bell housing, and then they call us thinking they have a transmission leak. But it turns out that it's oil leaking down the bell housing and around, and then coming out on the bottom.
So when you go up a hill, it all pours out of the valley.
So mine just started leaking then.
Yeah, yours isn't. It's not a major leak yet, but it's pulled up there, and the valleys are about that deep.
So it
So
builds
if
up
I
for
could
a
see it
while.
down there, it's been filling up.
And why did that trip the thermostat sensor?
I'm not saying that fully tripped it, but it can affect the pressure in the coolant system.
So it could have been, like you said initially, related to the cold, and this could have just been something we found by accident.
Right. We find a lot of these actually kind of by accident.
Okay.
Well, normally it's somebody says they've got a leak, and then we see the
Like
leak
we said,
in
normally
the bell
that's
housing
leaking
area.
right there, that thermostat housing, but it's
Yeah.
not.
So normally with a thermostat rationality, there's a little plastic
Bleeder screw.
bleeder screw on the thermostat housing right under that intake hose is usually where we get the leaks for the rationality codes. But
And those could come from a number of things. It could be a sticking thermostat because it was so cold, and it's not going to stick again. It was just didn't like what it saw.
or if the car took too long to warm up, it'll assume that'll also happen when the thermostat's stuck open.
Okay.
Then the car takes a really long time to warm up, which it can do in the cold like we had last night, because I think it was down to 12.
Oh, it was way cold.
Yeah, it was like 12, I think, last night. So then if it takes too long, the computer thinks something's wrong with the car, and then you'll get that check engine light.
How many miles are on this thing?
Over 100.
Over 100?
Yeah,
Okay.
they should be replaced.
Yeah. Have you done your spark plugs yet?
No.
Okay, then we should probably do that too, because they call for spark plugs at 100,000.
That's been on my list of
Okay.
to-dos.
And this is the time to do
Then
it.
this is the time to do it, because 3 of the spark plugs are underneath the intake manifold we
Okay.
have to remove to do the oil filter housing.
Right.
So we generally will bundle this repair with the tune-up and new plenum gaskets. We do that all at once because we're already in the engine.
Sure.
So if anybody's like remotely close to their 100K tune-up, like if they're at 65 to 70, we're almost at the tune-up range. So it's kind of it's the best time to actually do it, since
No.
we already have it apart. So
Yeah, I was going to take it to the dealership and have them do it, and it was going to be like $800. We'll do the spark plugs too.
yeah, let me go verify I got all that, and we'll get her
All
going.
right, thank you. Since the repair was covered by my extended warranty, I went ahead and paid to have my spark plugs and rear brakes replaced as well. My Jeep was out of the shop and back on the trail by early afternoon. I didn't know it at the time, but my luck would change again just a little further down the road. Due to the snowfall and not being familiar with the area, my wife and I decided to try an easy trail. We chose the Holcomb Valley Gold Fever Trail. This route takes you through the now tranquil Holcomb Valley that was once thriving with activity during the gold rush of the 1860s. At 12 selected markers, you are invited to get out of your vehicle and walk to the sites described in a brochure, which is available at the Big Bear Discovery Center. The route is 11 miles long and will take about 3 hours to complete because of short walks to some of the sites. The first stop is a view of the Holcomb Valley. You will have to walk 250 feet east along the Pacific Crest Trail for the best view. I flew my drone here yesterday before the winter storm, and again today for a comparison. The Jeep repair shop knew of my intention to drive the Gold Fever Trail, so they warned me about something not a lot of people are aware of. They said to avoid the deep mud holes, especially at high speeds, because people have a tendency to throw large boulders and logs into the water. You wouldn't want to hit one of those unexpectedly. Hey, I know you.
You do?
JonDZ Adventuring.
That's correct.
I subscribe to you on YouTube.
Oh, that's awesome. That means a lot coming from a guy with a built-out Jeep.
Thanks.
So I got you on camera too. Do you have a YouTube channel?
Yes.
What is your channel?
Arrowhead Overland.
So we're gonna go down this road and I'll take you to this abandoned kind of cabin. There's like some guy that it's dedicated to. So we'll go there and then we'll continue on and make our way over to the Pinnacles.
Okay.
And the Pinnacles, a lot of people go there to rock climb, but it also is just a beautiful place.
Yeah. All right, sounds good.
Should be fun.
This was the other change of luck I was telling you about earlier. I bumped into a fellow YouTuber out filming content also. He invited us along to see one of his little known about places. The Gold Fever Trail will have to wait.
I think we turn right here. I'm pretty sure. But I may be wrong. Now this is at 3 on 16.
He is taking us to a place the locals have named the Pinnacles. It's not really a secret, but its exact location isn't advertised for obvious reasons. I asked John if I could continue filming content for my channel, and he agreed. In fact, he gave me his camera equipment and asked me to get content of him for his channel. He said he'd give my channel a shout out, so I'll leave a link for it in the description below.
I'll be the tour guide. So it looks like we only got a couple, like maybe 2 inches tops of snowfall up here. These things last a long time.
All right, let's check out the cabin.
Yeah. I'm walking through the woods. I said, hey, this is nice. We got a meadow. Let's make our home here, dear.
Yeah.
Right.
Water source.
The lake is kind of far, but I think there's a well at the end. So what do you think about the hieroglyphics?
I don't think it was original.
Very modern.
I started following you shortly after I started following Donald.
Oh yeah.
Soft Roading the West.
Yeah, that's my buddy. That's like my first, that's actually my first online overlanding friend.
I started looking up overlanding videos,
Mm.
and his popped up. I skipped over it initially because I'm like, oh, it's a Subaru. I only want to look at Jeep stuff. Well, when I ran out of Jeep stuff to look at, or I got all caught up on Jeep stuff, and I'm like, okay, there's nothing else to see. I'm gonna go check out this Soft Roading the West because just the content was appealing,
Right.
but I was turned off initially just because it wasn't a Jeep. But once I started watching like 1 or 2 of his videos, I was like, okay, this is great. And then, without me even realizing it, I caught myself rooting for the Subaru. And I'm like, I want to see where this guy can go. And then I had been watching Primal Outdoors as well.
Yeah.
And then at some point, those two started like teaming up
Hanging
together.
out.
And Oh, this is one of those grinding mill things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have like a mule that just
Right.
Yeah, I
goes
think
around?
so.
More of a drill than I thought.
So there will be some, semi-fun obstacles to drive through.
Is this the section they call the squeeze?
Yeah, yes it is. But my vehicle is too fat to fit through it.
I'm assuming there's a bypass.
And what am I looking at here? This looks like a really deep crossing. We're gonna have to check this out.
What do we got here, John?
Giant Olympic swimming pool. It looks neat. You're like judging by that tree right there. It's up there.
Easier access on this side of the fence. Okay, not deep at all. Good. Okay. Okay, I think we're good. Looks like it's maybe like 8 inches tops. Okay.
Walking on water.
Walking on water. In order for me to concentrate on filming, my wife offered to drive the Jeep. It was a good experience for her. She hasn't driven through large mud holes or squeezed through big boulders very often. We finally arrived at the Pinnacles. This is where JonDZ Adventuring is going to camp for the night. He came up with a hack to try and winterize his rooftop tent. He wanted to try it out snow camping by himself before making his wife brave the cold. This is also where we parted ways. My wife and I wanted to make it out before dark. We had dinner plans in town at a Himalayan restaurant for cuisine from Nepal and India. We didn't make it out before dark, but we did make it out. The village looks a lot different since the majority of snow from yesterday has already melted.
Shrimp's really good.
I'm gonna have shrimp.
Try veggie dumpling here.